Wonder Woman 1984. Let's talk about it. Wonder Woman 1984 just dropped. Patty Jenkins returns as a writer-director to recreate this beautiful landscape that we saw 3 years ago with Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. That's right, Chris Pine is back, ladies and gentlemen. I know I missed him. at the end of that last movie, and we thought he was gone. I was like, what have they done? Are they going to kill off one of the best characters? DCEU. That's why you guys mess up. But they didn't. They brought him back. Now, the way they bring him back, we'll go into it. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's jump into the good. So, Wonder Woman 1984. It brings us to, you guessed it, the year 1984. Now, this is a good. You want to know why? Because the 80s are hot right now. Everybody loves the 80s. American Horror Story is doing the 80s. The 80s are hot. The 80s are on top. Everybody misses the style. Nostalgia is cool. And guess what? The 80s, they were wonk balls. It's filled with jokes. The plot uses it. God, we had Chris Pine comes back now, and he's like, I'm in the 80s? What's going on here? And then we just get chock fulls of laugh with him trying to figure out the 80s and the clothing and the exercise bikes. If they have Chris Evans in here instead of Chris Pine, I really think these jokes do not hit home as hard as they do. So anyways, it's 1984, which leads us to, tons of colors. I mean, you can tell by the movie poster, this movie is going to use colors. That's what happens when you go back in the 80s. You get to play around with pinks and greens, and it's kind of fun. I think this movie is better in every regard than Wonder Woman original, and people seem to not agree with me. I mean, it's getting trashed. 5.7 on IMDb. I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't know how everybody's shitting on this movie. So anyways, Gal Gadot's here in the 80s, and she is killing it. Oh, her fashion, whatever. I mean, she could wear a paper bag, but her fashion, she's killing it. She's Gal Gadot. She's Wonder Woman. She's the only Wonder Woman. She's my Wonder Woman, and she kills it again. I mean, there's no denying it. She's freaking amazing in this role. On top of that, costume design is phenomenal, just like in the last movie, and the musical score is done by Hans Zimmer, so you know what? Fire! How else did this movie improve? Well, they put Kristen Wiig in it, and Kristen Wiig only makes movies better. I mean, I really think any movie she's ever been in, she made it better. Her character's kind of this quiet nerd who wishes that she was cool and popular like Gal Gadot, and when she gets her wish, the power corrupts her brain. And so her storyline is really cool. I mean, she starts off as Gal Gadot's friend, but as you see in the trailers, she turns into a villain. Now, this same similar corruption story is happening with Pedro Pascal. He is our oil entrepreneur who is just going broke. I mean, he's basically a Ponzi scheme runner at this point. He's got no oil, but he's selling you oil. Look, he's a shitbag to his son, but he comes across this rock. This rock shows up, and what it does is it grants any wish. And what happens when you get granted any wish, nothing good happens. What I learned from this movie is if anybody tells you they're going to grant your wish, you run the fuck away. Because there's something in it for them. Gets this rock and he's able to be granting these wishes, but also his power accumulates with every wish that he grants. Kristen Wiig gets sucked up in this seduction of power as well, and they kind of create this dynamic duo of villains, similar to the last film, but these ones are a lot better. Lot better than Wonder Woman 1's villains. But then we get Chris Pine back. Like I said, the chemistry is fire. I love those two. Don't know which one I love more. They're both fantastic. And the way they bring Chris Pine back is that he is Wonder Woman's wish. So now she's kind of trapped in this seduction loop too. So anyways, Pedro Pascal, he is just growing with power and growing with evil. And until he is this unstoppable force. You can kind of picture it. Kristen Wiig turns into this cat lady. I mean, that's a crazy part, but that's not till the very end. And so the characters are all really cool and really interesting. I mean, I liked all that, and I liked the actors, and the chemistry's there, so good job, guys. Patty Jenkins does it again on the cinematography. I mean, I really like that. Again, if you got to be into it. I mean, there's a certain level of nuance lost when it's this over-exaggerated CGI, but it's Wonder Woman, and I don't want to watch her punch somebody and then fall. I want to watch her punch somebody and they fly. And that's what Patty Jenkins does. I just like the action scenes. I really like the way that they are directed and shot. Again, just like in the last movie, and I would say these ones are even better, a little bit more energetic. There is a lot of good in this movie. I liked it substantially more than the last Wonder Woman. But with that, let's go into the bad. Like I said, the editing in the CGI is a lot. I mean, it could turn you off. It just didn't for me because I'm in it for the cartoony aspect. If you like realistic CGI, it's not that realistic. But that you take the step to be a little cartoonish, I mean, I think the movie loses a little bit of its essence. It turns it into a little bit of a joke, but that's fine because it's a superhero movie and I'm here for a good time. And with that is the writing. I mean, they have moments of greatness and mostly I think it's behind Chris Pine's smile. But just like in most superhero movies, the dialogue is not a strong point. I mean, they do these scenes where they're in the middle of a battle and Wonder Woman decides now is the time to have a heart-to-heart one-on-one in the middle of strangling each other, and somehow everything stops and they have this dialogue, but nobody says the right thing. There's still miscommunication. It's just weird stuff like that you just have to let it go behind you because it's a superhero movie. But stuff that with a little bit more thought could have really added an element to the movie. And then the creme de la creme, I mean, the worst thing in the entire world that they could have done is ended the movie like this. This is why if somebody shits on this movie, I can't really blame them, because the ending was atrocious. It's out on HBO Max. You can watch it if you want it. I don't feel too bad about spoiling it, but I won't do too much. Basically, Wonder Woman looks at the bad guy and says, hey, you don't have to be bad. He's in the middle of being the most bad guy in the entire world. She basically goes, hey, you don't have to be bad. She does her Wonder Woman speech. I mean, I think we're supposed to be seduced by Gal Gadot, which I was, but don't think the bad guy would have been. So she basically says, hey, you don't have to be bad. And then he's like, I see my son! I'm going to be good! And then he just stops being bad. The fuck? I hate that. That's the laziest way to end a movie in the entire world. It's like a gymnast. She hits the trampoline. She does the perfect triple backflip. And then right when she lands the ground, both her knees, ACL's torn, face hits the ground. That's what this movie was. So if you like watching them fly through the air, it's great. If you really care about how they land, if you're one of those Olympics judges who really cares about sticking the landing, they botch it. Substantially liked Wonder Woman 84 more than Wonder Woman original. I'm going to give Wonder Woman 84 a B-. I really wish they could have stuck the landing or put a little creativity in it, because I enjoyed the movie for the most part, but we are where we are. So if you like the review, please like and subscribe. I love you guys for listening, and I'll catch you next time.